We, the merchants of the market, have serious difficulties. We have practically exhausted our entire business. However, our children are still in our care. And in my case, for example, I am already a widow, so imagine what I endure. It is not easy at all. Since President Talon came to power, it has become very complicated. We no longer understand what we are doing. Everything is confused. Formerly, cereals were really quite cheap to buy. We used to get deliveries from Parakou. Today, a barrel of grain is so expensive that it sometimes costs 35 CFA franc. And despite the fact that there are new harvests, people do not lower the prices. They do the exact opposite. They keep on increasing them. Frankly, it is necessary that President Talon regulate the sector if possible, because enough is enough. He has to help us. Poor market women like us can also get by with our families. And now he wants to relocate us from here and put us in the new markets. That's all well and good. But do you really think we have the means to integrate these brand new markets? We have limited means. We will not be able to bear the cost related to this new market, which will be located at GLO. So, do you really think we have enough resources to go back and forth every day from here to GLO? Is this how President Talon wants to help us? We can't be thinking of transportation and how to survive at the same time.
Hello, mon blow. I don't know maybe Iglo. Feel me, I'm a quite about to whom I global son, Malaleko. A queer band me where did there. They seem to whom Quaho, Malalon, Luquahoa.
How fierce are they, Momitelo and Jelly? Mime rally to feel a way, Mado Teme, Debrono. In the leg when I am in Aliji Mika de Numbo.
One of the major difficulties we encounter is that we street vendors do not have a specific spot. The delegate of the district, the agents of the Market Regulation Office, and even the Republican police officers, everyone constantly demands us to free the public space. Once again, we beg the head of state for mercy so that we can also have a space of our own to sell. Secondly, we have to deal with the poor sales. Mostly, we hardly find 2,000 or 3,000 CFA franc per day in addition to all the expenses, and yet we also have mouths to feed. Everything is expensive in the market. Frankly, we don't even understand what's going on anymore. And it's very confusing. We don't even have the feeling that it's almost the holiday season. Usually from morning to night, you sit here and go home empty-handed. We need the authorities to help us, because if the population make more money, they can easily buy from us. Otherwise, there is a general poor sales situation.
Boyani azala sepo mena mouvement pede ama ta emelo agilo fatam.
No one can predict the will of God. Maybe with the holidays coming up, there will be an improvement, but for now, it's extremely quiet around here. It's been like this for a while now, but since it's almost the holidays, we are hopeful that sales will improve.
Ama mindo kwana mau. Ni boyani kwelo wa sepo. Don't lena blogon bon lena de kwekpo. Ewe na blogon. Do nu kwama de ya. Nisisa na de ya.
What we need to do now is to find a way to reduce the cost of the items we buy, because for the moment it is still too expensive and we do not have enough money to buy them. Even if we have to buy them, we have to increase the prices on our end. Otherwise, we will be running at a loss. Therefore, there is something that has to be done to allow us to buy the items at a lower cost. Let's take the example of corn. Previously, we bought it for 13,000 or 14,000 CFA francs at most. But now, you must have between 25 to 27,000 CFA francs to buy the bag. So to be honest, all we ask is for them to allow us to make more money so that we carry on with business.
Market women as they complain about the poor sales due to the high cost of living and the current economic situation. They cry for help and calling on the head of state to take the necessary steps to improve their living conditions in here in Retrouvez. Now moving on from that, the first element I calls for the 4 people prosecuted in the case of the death of 4 patients at the National University Hospital St. were set on their fate this Tuesday. Number 222, 2 years imprisonment and a fine of 200,000 for CFA. That's how we watch. We seem to be having a little bit of technical difficulties bringing that particular story to you. We'll move on from that. As we say, with the issue of xenophobia or racism surfacing on the continent recently, especially in countries like South Africa, the question of diversity within a country has been highlighted. How do locals really treat foreigners in their country? Now, for this sort of experiment, Golfe TV AFRICA was on ground at the market in Several to speak to Nigerians and get their take on both their social and business lifestyle in Benin, culminating to if they feel welcomed or threatened by their Beninese host.
2 years imprisonment and a fine of 200,000 CFA franc for 2 National University Hospital Center agents in the case of deaths of patients in the intensive care unit. The 2 people convicted are the head of the electricity division of the hospital and one of his assistants. As for the 2 agents of the Palutech company, they were released for non-compliance. The 4 defendants were prosecuted for manslaughter. At the last hearing, the prosecution had requested 24 months, including 12 months, against each of the 2 agents of the National University Hospital Center and released the 2 agents of Palutech. During the hearing of the defendants before the public prosecutor, their lawyers stated there was no criminal fault in what their clients were accused of. They rather mentioned a malfunction. The director of the Palutech, the supplier of the breathing device, accused an agent of the hospital of failing to turn on the system in time. Before the court, he insisted that what happened was not the fault of his company, which delivered the device. When questioned about the statements of the director of Palutech, the indexed agent admitted he had forgotten to turn on the switch to resupply the area when the power was restored. To prove his point, he said he was overworked. It was overwork. I was confused. He replied to the judge, who wanted to know what caused the oversight.
Encore sous le choc.
Well, moving on from that, with the issue of xenophobia and racism surfacing on the continent recently, especially in countries like South Africa, the question of diversity within the country has been highlighted. How do locals really treat foreigners in their country? For this top experiment, Golfe TV AFRICA was on ground at the market in Hazel to speak to Nigerians and get their take on both their social and business lifestyle in Benin, culminating to if they feel welcomed or threatened by their Beninese hosts.
With the issue of xenophobia and racism found in a lot of African countries, Golfe TV AFRICA took to the ground, the grassroots, to try and get a perspective of what Nigerians who live and work in Benin think about their resident nation, asked of how they felt, and or if rather they felt welcomed in the country. They replied,
Well, I haven't lived in a compound that is a Beninois, but sometimes if I go out, I do interact with them. Some of them that are learned, they are okay in terms of behavior, while some of them that are not learned, they will still give that attitude as in for you being a foreigner. Did you understand? But most of them, when you interact with them that are learned, they will speak to you politely and talk to you politely.
We don't have criminal in Benin here because everything is very good and fine. You can drive from here to North Benin without disturbance, without police embarrassing you or security disturbing you. No, In Benin here, what I believe in Benin, I believe in Benin law, because in Benin law is 50-50. Here in Benin, they don't treat, in terms of law, they don't do because of you're a Beninois, we treat you, no. Everything is 50-50. Everything is equal. The problem we're having is border. If you are the president of this country, we negotiate with the Nigerian president. Let there be free transaction in that border. Because as you can see, everywhere is so dry. We don't have anybody coming in and buying, because right now, we are the businessmen. The problem here we are facing is...
Yeah, that should be from let's say 2007, 2008. So when I was back then in OGOIGBE, so something like that, you know. Sometimes when you talk to them, they will say, hey, you have to go back to your country, you have to go back to your country. This place is not your country. But let me say from 5 years ago, no, everything is now somehow, you know, lessened. It's now somehow normalized. That racism is not much there again.
Benin Republic is very nice in terms of security, but in terms of house, it's very expensive. Electricity, water, but in terms of business, it's very nice. The problem that we're having here in Benin is a border.
Well, I would say in that aspect, there is no much threatening that I have since I've been in the business, but it's just that the Beninois, when they have to come to market, they love things being cheap, you know. They don't care how much you buy the thing, but anything cheap market is what they want. You know, that is just the thing there, but I don't feel any threat at all. Yes, if in that aspect I've been threatened, let me say 8 years ago, you know, back then, you will see a policeman will just enter into the market, they will harass you, they will arrest you, take you to the police station. Sometimes they will collect 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. Even self, in a day, they can't even catch you more than 2 times without no reason, but you will pay. But for some time, during the time of the new president, President Alonso, everything has changed. You know, that racism, that is no more there. That is no more there. So, but the only challenges that we have now, sometimes we that do sell here in the market, if we have to bring our bike in here, the police people that we arrest and take the bike, you know, something like that. Due to the president have already said here is interdict, you know. That is what I know for now that the police people are doing. Yes, for now we have to advise them that Benin is very cool and it's very okay. In Benin Republic, this is the only place or the only country that I know that one of the countries in the whole world that I know that you can come, you know, and feel relaxed and feel comfortable without no heat in essence of life, you know. You can stay outside from morning to night without no much problem, without no fear. You know, there are some other country, it is 10, 12, 1 a.m., that's in the midnight, you feel threatened. But here you can be outside till 1 a.m., 2 a.m., there will not be any problem. You know, I can advise them that here is a quiet place, that, you know, they can come in terms of life.
Of course, if you have a relation or a friend of mine, you want to live in Benin, it's very fine. Because one thing about Benin, in terms of security, Benin have a good security here in Benin.
In summary, this sought to get out the collective consciousness of the diaspora in Benin, and though many refused to speak in camera, every single one of them I met testified to the peace and serenity in the country, and how favorable the atmosphere is to business and to their everyday lifestyle. The people affected by the project to build an international bowling stadium to host the Bowling World Cup, a hospital, and many more buildings received checks during the ceremony. The government has decided to compensate those who own real estates and who are directly affected by this 80 hectares development project.
The people affected by the project to build an international bowling stadium to host the Bowling World Cup, a hospital, and many more buildings received checks during a ceremony. The government has decided to compensate those who own real estates and who are directly affected by this 80 hectares development project. Indeed, the local authorities in charge of the development project in Togbe located in the commune of Abomey-Calavi, granted the people affected by the 80 hectares project with several checks to help them relocate to a better community. A wise move according to the head of the district of Godoma, who acknowledges the patriotic attitude of the inhabitant. This ceremony of handing over of checks falls in line with the vision of the head of state to build a new Benin through innovative projects, recalls the Secretary General of the Atlantic District. The development of the fishing road between Cotonou and Ouidah is also part of the government's strategy to develop tourism.
Being back the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women on Friday, the 25th of November 2022, in front of the Amazon statue. The event also marked the launch of the Unity campaign and an initiative of 16 Days campaign to sensitize the public against gender-based violence.
The 25th of November every year is very symbolic in the lives of women all around the world. United Nations International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women is an occasion for governments, international organizations, and non-governmental organizations to raise public awareness of violence against women. It has been observed on the 25th of November each year since the year 2000. On this International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, the UNFPA stands with its United Nations partners, and the United Nations Secretary General runs a Unite campaign which calls upon government and allies to act now to end the violence against women and girls in all the diversity. United Nations Secretary General's campaign Unite to End Violence Against Women proclaimed the 25th of each November as an Orange Day, a day to raise awareness and take actions to end violence against women and girls. To this effect, the Benin Republic stood in solidarity with the world. The theme for this year is Unite, activism to end violence against women and girls. Benin Republic joined the world with the color orange signified on the mufflers worn by the women and the t-shirts. The color orange is used to represent a brighter future free from violence against women and girls. The event was marked on Friday, the 25th of November 2022, in front of the Amazon statue. The event signified the commencement of a 16-day campaign. The resident representative for the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency in Benin Republic had this to say.
Je voudrais au nom des partenaires faire passer 3 messages. Et mon premier message, c'est que la violence faite aux femmes et aux filles est une réalité au Bénin.
I want to pass 3 messages. The first is that violence against women and girls is a reality in Benin Republic. Sadly, it causes a lot of suffering and has an adverse effect on economic and social development. In effect, in Benin, 69% of women have been victims of violence in their lifetime. This is according to an evaluation carried out in 2009. The evaluation shows that the situation has not changed much according to an updated report of the evaluation in June in 2022. The evaluation shows that 45% of males are victims of gender-based violence and 44% of girls among children. I want to emphasize that it is among girls aged 3 to 14. This means that gender-based violence is not streamlined to just adults. Sadly, children are also victims. The president of the National Institute for Women, Claudine Prudencio, shared her thoughts on the importance of ending the violence against women. Violence against women is a gigantic problem that is faced by women in our society. The challenge is such that is experienced by both the male and the female gender, but women and the girl child are usually more victims. The violence against women and the girl child is not an abstract phenomenon. Rather, it is seen in our day-to-day activities and events that occur in our environment. This is a clarion call to each and every one of us not to be accomplices of violence meted out against women and the girl child. This is also calling out to each and every one of us never to be beneficiaries of violence against women. We need to remind ourselves that we should never protect anyone who is an abuser, no matter his rank or his social status in the society. It does not cost anything for each and every one of us to become activists of this noble cause. The Minister of Social Affairs had this to say.
Face à cette majestueuse Amazone,
in front of the majestic Amazon, a mirror of the concept of the fight against women, permits me to quote Ban Ki-moon. Violence against women constitutes violence against humanity. It is still a crime and still unacceptable. The end of citation. Sadly, our social networks have become a place for horrible stories of violence against women. Women that have been beaten to death, women and girls that have been violated, assaulted sexually, stigmatized, just to mention a few. Daily, women and girls are exposed to different levels of violence in their day-to-day life. Despite the actions put in place, notably the collaboration and the dissemination of the process that mobilizes all the actors that would enable rapid response for victims of domestic violence, the creation of promotion centers, and also the creation of centers that take charge of victims of gender-based violence, this has still not been able to reduce the amount of cases of gender-based violence. The event was graced by women of different walks of life, from traditional leaders to also women that are interested in the noble cause. At the end of the event, a family photo was taken.
Good day to all tuning into Golfe TV Africa. Welcome to the African newspaper review and as well the sports review on Golfe TV Africa. Now the sports review will be touching on a lot of the World Cup stories coming in around the world. Well, coming in from Qatar as Qatar debuts the 2022 World Cup. But first, the African newspaper review on Golfe TV Africa, and as well I love to write. So I'm doing. Alright, now we start off our papers with stories coming in from the Punch Nigeria, one of our favorite papers. We go straight to the Punch Nigeria and let's see what they has to offer us today. Now, top page of the Punch Nigeria reveals APC government Adeleke governor sacks 12,000 workers. Page 2. Now, for him to sack 12,000 workers on his first day, that made headlines everywhere around the country. And also, APC Fume says government causing endless litigation, agitations, distractions. Said abortion backed by law, governor's actions illegal, says assembly, sacked local government chairman head to court, PDP backs Adeleke's action and as hits APC. Now that's what we have, just the little papers we have all right there. Also, we have a picture of 10,000 resident doctors remaining in Nigeria, says not. We have that on page 28. Also on that, we have contractors suspend legacy battle road construction and it will resume in January. We have that on page 5 over the Punch Nigerian. Also, let's take that high, a little bit high, so we can see some of the stories we have there at the bottom of the paper. Also, Canal APC chair court with 367 PVC jail. We have that on page 28 over the Punch Nigeria. Now looking at the top hand of the paper, let's take a look at the top hand of the paper because it has some interesting stories as well. ASU warns of new crisis, 6 interventions. We have that right there on page 29 of the Punch Nigeria. Also, foreign NGOs, fintech firms linked to terrorism financing. You can get that on page 15. And no candidate for national award nominees failed exams. We have that on page 20. Let's take a look at more. 50% materials deployed bond offices threatened polls, INEC has revealed on page 28 of the Punch Nigeria. Now we move on from the Punch Nigeria to more exciting papers. We're still touching papers moving to Ghana for a bit as we switch countries. Let's head to the front page of the Daily Guide Ghana. The front page of Daily Guide Ghana reveals, of course, it has to be exciting. It has to be about the World Cup stars, the Black Stars of Ghana defeating South Korea 3-2 on the day astonishing result there from the Black Stars, making Africa proud on the night. So yeah, the Black Stars doing Ghanaians proud. We will bring more to you on that as we get into the sports segment of the show. Now let's take a look at the top hand of the paper. It says public debt hits 406.7 billion Ghanaian cedis. We have that on page 6. Let's change the color so we have a little bit of, we have a little bit of contrast on the paper. So yeah, public debts, I have to apologize for that. Public debt hits bogus policies in Ghana. We have that right there. And also BOG policy rate now 27%. We have that as well on page 6. Now for the front page, it says, expect economic recovery soon. Bob Warmer, he has come out to say, believe in wanting Ghanaians to believe in the admin and believe in the government, that the government can turn it around as the CDs has crashed to at an all-time low. One of the worst performing currency at a point, the worst performing currency on the continent, right? Very disappointing there. Ghanaians did come out to say for the current administration to resign, but well, they dug their feet to the ground and they have refused to resign, saying they will do what they set out to do and they can accomplish what they have promised the Ghanaians they will do. All right, let's take a little bit and go derail a little bit and go sports as we start up our sports review. Let's take a look. Front page reveals Firemark Eagles Ghana win. Why? We can find out more about that. I can tell you as a part Nigerian, there's a little bit of rivalry between the Nigerians and the Ghanaians. When the Ghanaians are doing better in the World Cup than the Nigerians are upset. But the Nigerians are also very cool with other African countries doing well in the World Cup, like Senegal, Cameroon. We have no problem. They have no problem. But when the Ghanaians are doing better in the World Cup, there's a little bit of rivalry between Anglophone rivalry. There's also the Jollof Rice competition. So yeah, there's also the Super Eagles versus the Black Stars of Ghana, especially because it was the Black Stars of Ghana that knocked out the Super Eagles from the World Cup in Nigeria. So there's still a little bit of bad blood between both countries. But yeah, it's a healthy rivalry. We appreciate each other to some extent. Now, kudos. All right, me for that brace reviews. Black Stars lack 16 hope. We have that there. Also, Ghana now second youngest African to score twice in a World Cup match. Very good there. Very top story there. Also, Netherlands versus Qatar hosts and Tony with tough Dutch clash. Now, Qatar hosting the competition, the first in their history, the first time they've even ever played or featured in the World Cup. And before the game, before the tournament, everybody was like excited to see this Qatari side play finally in the World Cup. And there was a lot of talk that they've been building this team for about 10 years, and now was the time for them to show what they've, the investment of the last 10 years. And it just shows you football culture can be bought. Football culture can be bought. The Qatarians haven't, they have failed to astonish to the heights that we expected. We didn't expect much from them, but still they've lost both games and they're headed to a top game where they will be facing a tough Netherlands side. Now, Wales versus Ghana, 3 Lions target last 16 sports. We're going to see how that plays out there. And for some controversy, Onana expelled for disciplinary reasons, says Sudribet Song. Song has expelled Onana. Onana is currently shot stopper for Inter Milan. Very good, very amazing goalkeeper. He's what you call a sweeper goalkeeper. He comes out, he plays the ball. The ball is good on his feet. He can distribute passes. So yeah, and a lot of viewers yesterday really did feel Ghana and Cameroon could have won and defeated Serbia yesterday if Onana was present, because he's actually a very fine goalkeeper. And the goals they conceded yesterday were due to some goalkeeper errors. Now let's take a look at some of the top stories we have on around the continent. So we take a look at a proper review of the World Cup as we go into some of the fixtures of the World Cup. Now that's right there. Let's make that large, and so we have all for you. And let's go. So, looking at the matches that have been played so far, let's tell you now that Cameroon played Serbia 3-3. I've just increased the size a little bit so you have a better view of that. All right, so yeah, Cameroon 3, Serbia 3. Very, very amazing. It was a thriller. I cannot deny it was a thriller. We were left at the stuck on our seat, believing, okay, Cameroon is going to lose. Cameroon was losing 3-1, and then bam, 3-3. Amazing scoreline right there. Amazing. Also, South Korea versus Ghana, that ended 3-2. Africa very proud of Ghana, as Ghana were able to defeat South Korea. Even scoring the last minute goal, it was fantastic. Now looking beyond that, let's look at more. Brazil played Switzerland, winning that game 1-0. Portugal played Uruguay, another tough competition, another tough side there, winning the game 2-0. Two goals from Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United. Now today we'll be having Ecuador versus Senegal. This is a much must-watch game for every African right now. This game is going to be played by 16 o'clock. That's Ecuador versus Senegal. Now this game decides if Senegal is going to progress into the round of 16. Very important match there. Also Pays-Bas versus Qatar. That's Netherlands versus Qatar. Netherlands have already qualified. Qatar already out of the competition. They play this game for their pride. They have to win again. So they play this game for their pride. They've lost their first two games. They have to at least draw this game to have at least a point in the World Cup. Now looking at Group B is going to be entertaining matches from Iran versus the United States of America. Now you know there's a lot of bad blood between Iran and the United States of America. A lot of bad blood over a lot of geopolitical affairs. And during the press conference, the Iranian pressers were very not gentle at all with while asking a lot of political questions to the disappointment of true football fans out that we wanted to hear some sporting questions, but he went all political. 3 questions he asked, 3 questions were all political. Now looking at Wales playing England. Now this is United Kingdom. This is a United Kingdom game. Now Wales versus England. Whoever wins this game qualifies for the round of 16. It's a must win for both sides. And we'll see what's going to happen with Southgate's side. Southgate's side already have 4 points. So it's yet to see how that group progresses. Now let's take a look at some of the statistics we have. You know, I did tell you as the game progresses, as the tournament progresses, the boys will be separated from the men. We'll see who's making the most assists, who's making the most goals. Well, here you have it. We currently have Kylian Mbappe and Valencia of Ecuador tied at 3 goals each. Both of them are top scorers in the competition right now. And just below that we have Alvaro Morata. We do not expect that. Alvaro Morata with 2 goals. André Cameri with 2 goals, Bruno Fernandes 2 goals, Bukayo Saka 2 goals, Korea du Sud, Chong Gui-sung 2 goals, Cody Gakpo 2 goals of Netherlands, Ferran Torres 2 goals, a lot of 2 goals, but you know this will still shift as we get into the quarterfinals of the competition. We also have Richarlison that scored an amazing goal, Olivier Giroud, Momo Kudus of Ghana now has 2 goals in the competition, and Lionel Messi 2 goals in the competition so far. Let's take a look at the assists. Let's see the assists. Now the assist is changing as well, but we have a lot of 2 assists all through. So you can tell it's still finding it very hard to make a gain on the assists. We have all 2s on the assists. We have names like Evan Perisic, Harry Kane, Bruno Fernandes, Andrea Sikovic, on Joliabo of Spain as well. Now let's move on from that and see what the groups exactly look like right now. Now on Group A, we have Netherlands leading the group with 4 points. Ecuador on 4 points, Senegal on 3 points. So this is a must-win game for Senegal. Senegal have to win this game because look at that, 4 point, 3 points. Senegal have to absolutely defeat Ecuador to get at least 6 points and make it into the round of 16. And it's not all clear for the Netherlands as well. The Netherlands will be playing Qatar, and they have to defeat Qatar to assure their place, in the round of 16. So all those games for all three sides have must-win games. Those teams have must-win games. Each of them can still qualify for the round of 16. So that's going to be interesting. Looking at Group A right there, and let's look at Group B. Group B has England, Iran, the United States of America, and Wales. And when you look at the starts, you look at the points they have to share, they're all at 4 points, 3 points, 2 points. You can safely say nobody has qualified yet from this one, because if the United States gets 3 points, it will give them 5 points. That will mean they will qualify, and they will qualify above England. So they don't want that. England have to win the game versus Wales, or at least draw, while the United States nothing but a victory to assure a place in the round of 16. Quite surprising. The United States have put out a formidable team this year, and we expect a lot from them. Now also Poland, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, all stuck. This World Cup has been very, very tight. You're looking at that, 3 points. So everybody on this group C, they all have to win this game. All 4 sides. It's not safe. It's not safe. They can't rest. They all have to win this game. Now getting to Group B. Rather, Group D, France, Australia, Denmark, Tunisia. Now, looking at this group as well, France has qualified for the tournament, one of the few to have qualified for the tournament. Well, it's now left for Australia to be able to get a straight win, to be able to assure their place in the quarterfinal, in the round of 16. Because if Denmark gets 3 points, I'll give them 4 points. That will make sure they qualify. Now, looking at Spain, Japan, Costa Rica, 4 points, 3 points, 3 points. This group is as well still open. Germany right now is down there with 1 point. But if they get 3 points versus Costa Rica, they get 3 points versus Costa Rica, it will put them at 4 points, which will mean they would have moved beyond the 3 points versus Japan and the 3 points Costa Rica have. So it's also a must-win also in this group. All the groups are quite tight, and it's quite enticing and interesting to see. It's been an exciting World Cup. It's been a competitive World Cup. It's been a World Cup where we've had underdogs come to defeat Germany, being defeated by Japan, and Saudi Arabia defeated by Argentina defeated by Saudi Arabia. So it's been a very, very challenging World Cup. Now looking at Brazil have 6 points. They qualify. Swedes have 3 points. They also have to win a match. Cameroon absolutely have to defeat Brazil to be able to make it 4 points for them to qualify. Portugal also qualified 6 points. Ghana just right behind them 3 points. But Ghana have to win the game versus Uruguay to assure a place in the round of 16. All right, let's move on from the sports review and head back to some of our interesting papers around the continent. All right, now we move to the Star line, the Star Kenya, front page of the Star Kenya. What does that reveal? Let's clean this up to avoid a little bit of interruptions on our paper. Now, the Star from Kenya reveals Raila, so always talking about the president, Raila to meet MPs as stage set for demos. Extremely important meeting that's meant to build consensus. It's set to build consensus. This is what we have right there. We have that on page 4 and 5 of the Star from Kenya. Also, English Challenge, Pioneer CBC class as grade 6 exams start in the country. We have right there on page 7. Also, looking beyond that, we have I'll prove there was a plot to assassinate President Ruto. Ntumbi tells court. We have that on page 4 and 5. It's right there. Minister to testify about an assassination attempt on Ruto. Also, double tragedy. Mother and son commit suicide within hours of each other's kidnapping. Revealed on page 2 of the Star from Kenya. Exciting papers coming in from Kenya. We're moving on from that and heading to the New Vision Uganda for more stories across Africa. The New Vision Uganda this is having prioritizing education. We're having a lot of education in Uganda, which means the country is kind of prioritizing education, which is quite interesting. All right, now illegal guns fueling the DRC conflict, says Museveni. Of course, he has to speak out on the current unrest in the country because it's part of the East African community. Also, Marcus Muslim cleric arrested. You can get a full story on page 6. Meet Uganda first FIFA certified football referee. We have that there on page 35 to 33 to 35. We have right there. Also on the top page reveals how car buyers lost millions in online deal. Well, that's very sad. Be careful how you buy your cars next time. All right, so page 4 and 5, you can get that right there. Money paid to local agents range from 50 million to 100 million shillings to get cars. Cars will be really expensive in Uganda. Now, food art contest winner awarded. Now, food art contest. What is a food art contest? You can get that right there on page 7 of the New Vision Uganda. We have her right there. That is the winner. And of course, you can see the award she gets for winning the food art competition. All right, there. That's all we have for you today. I think we can move on from that to save time. Our time has come to an end. I am Metohuey Michael ADOGLO. Let's try and get this out of the way. I'm Metohuey Michael ADOGLO, and as well, I'll be telling you goodbye by writing it personally. All right, have a great day. Well, and so we conclude the 1 p.m. English News on Tuesday's edition with 1 p.m. News live from our studios here in Cotonou City. Now, coming up next is the French newsroom. Now, for more information around the world, you stay tuned to Golfe TV Africa, and whatever thoughts you'd like to share relating to our programs, you can reach our social media handles. You can also call the Gulf Commercial Service. Let us know what you think. I'm Metohuey Michael ADOGLO, and I'll see you same time tomorrow. But goodbye for now.